Hello, good evening. Welcome to the Coral Ridge Drive Mobility Improvement Project virtual public meeting. We're going to give everybody a couple more minutes, see if some more people filter on here. So we'll get started in maybe 2 or 3 minutes. Again, if you're just joining us for the meeting, we'll get started in a minute or two here. I'm not really seeing anyone else filter in, so I think I'll start this. Hello, good evening. Welcome to the Coral Ridge Drive Mobility Improvement Project virtual public meeting. My name is Matthew May, and I am the construction project manager. The limits of this project along Coral Ridge Drive are from Southgate Boulevard to Wyndham Drive, as you can see on the screen. The primary reason for this project is to add bike lanes along this approximately 5-mile corridor. The financial project IDs for these two projects, there's a north project and a south project, are 437796-1 and 437798-1. And again, this is the virtual public meeting. It's March 10th of 2021. And on slide 2, I can review the agenda for this meeting. First thing we're going to do is we're going to go through some introductions. Number 2, we are then going to go over the meeting format. Number 3, we will discuss the non-discrimination policy. Number 4 will be the rules of engagement. Number 5, we'll talk about the project limits and the project improvements. Number 6 will be a project overview. Number 7, we'll review some traffic impacts that you may come across. 8 will be a community outreach. 9, we will have some questions and answers. And finally, we will finish up with some contact information for the project team. On slide number 3, you see introductions, so which I will provide on slide number 4. So the FDOT has been tasked to design and construct the Coral Ridge Drive Mobility Improvement Project, and the project team consists of the following. Myself, I'm Matthew May. I'm the FDOT Construction Project Manager. I have Miguel Olivares, who is with K-Factor. He is the project administrator. I'm sure he'll pop up here in a second. Justina Hicklin, she is the community outreach specialist. She's with the Valerian Group. Damaris Williams is with the FDOT. That's the Florida Department of Transportation, and she is the design project manager. And working with her, we have Adam Mays, who works for DRMP Incorporated. He is an engineer of record, a designer. And Anthony Spameni, also an engineer of record, a designer. He's with Bolton Perez and Associates. Some of the other partners on this project with us include the Broward County. We have the City of Coral Springs, which the roadway resides within. And we also have the Broward County Metropolitan Planning Organization. And now on slide 5, I'm going to hand it over to Justina.
Good evening. As Mr. May said, my name is Justina Hicklin, and I'm the Community Outreach Specialist for the for the Coral Ridge Drive Mobility Improvement Project. And right now, slide 5, we're going to get ready to go over the meeting format. So before we begin the presentation, I'll share a few items regarding the virtual meeting. Due to the state of emergency declared by Governor DeSantis in Executive Order 20-52 as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, this meeting is authorized to be held virtually and not in person. And as you can see on your screen, we will have presentation and question from 5 p.m. to 5:30, again from 6 p.m. to 6:30, and then an intermission with an unguided slideshow from 5:30 to 6 p.m. Slide 7. This is just showing you on your screen the format that we're using tonight, which is the GoToWebinar meeting platform. There's no cost to the public to log in or dial in to participate in the meeting. On your computer device, you should see a screen similar to what is on the right-hand side. And to listen to the meeting, your computer or device speakers are selected by default. If you prefer to listen by phone, select telephone in the audio pane of the control panel and dial in using the information which is displayed on the screen. Slide 8, for the virtual public meeting, we did send out the notice via US postal mail, social media, the FDOT website, and then also the Florida Administrative Register. Slide 9, I'm just going to go over our non-discrimination policy. Slide 10. The Florida Department of Transportation complies with various non-discrimination laws and regulations, including Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. This meeting is being held without regard to race, color, national origin, age, sex, religion, disability, or family status. For any questions or concerns that you may have, you can contact our District 4 Title VI coordinator. Her name is Ms. Sharon Singh Hyen. The address is 3400 West Commercial Boulevard, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, 33309. Her phone number is 954-777-4190. And the email address is sharon.singhyen@dot.state.fl.us. The Tallahassee contact for the state Title VI coordinator is Ms. Jacqueline Paramore. Her address is 605 Swaney Street. That's MS65, Tallahassee, Florida, 32399. Her phone number is 850-414-4753. Her email address is jacqueline.paramore@dot.state.fl.us. And at this time, I will go ahead and go over the rules of engagement for tonight's meeting. This is slide 11 and slide 12. This virtual public meeting is being recorded. If you experience any technical difficulties, please contact GoToWebinar support at 1-833-851-8340. All attendees will remain muted throughout the meeting. Attendees are also welcome to submit any questions or comments using the GoToWebinar question panel at any time, and a member of the team will respond during the question and answer portion. To request to speak, click the raise hand button on the control panel and unmute your microphone when your name is called. And for slide 13, I'm going to go ahead and pass it back to our project manager, Mr. Matthew May.
Thank you, Justina. So here on slide 13, what we're going to do now is we're going to review the project location and some project information. On slide 14, you can see an overview map of the project limits, which again are Coral Ridge Drive from Southgate Boulevard on the right hand of the map, northward to Wyndham Circle is where the project ends. And again, this is a distance between these limits of approximately 5 miles. On slide 15, we can review some schedule and cost information. As you can see here, construction begins April 15th of 2021. The anticipated completion is late in 2022, and the construction cost is approximately $7.6 million. On slide 16, we will review some of the project improvements. Actually, we'll review all the project improvements. As I said previously, the primary goal of this project is to widen the roadway to accommodate 6-foot buffered bike lanes. A 6-foot buffered bike lane will effectively provide a continuous 4-foot bike lane with a 2-foot buffer between it and the bordering outside vehicular travel lane. Some of the work required to meet this goal includes, as I said, widening the roadway to accommodate the lane. We will also be reconstructing sidewalk ramps, primarily at intersections. We will be upgrading vehicle and pedestrian signalization at West Atlantic Boulevard, Royal Palm Boulevard, and Wiles Road. We will also be upgrading pedestrian signalization at Riverside and also at Eagle Trace Boulevard, which is also Northwest 19th Drive. We will be modifying and relocating drainage structures. We will be milling and resurfacing the entire roadway and replacing pavement markings. And we will be upgrading some signing that is part of the bike lane standard. We will be regrading the swales to improve the drainage. And we will also be repairing bridge deck joints on the bridge on the south end of the project that goes over the C14 canal. So on slide 17, I'm going to hand it off to Damaris Williams, who again is the FDOT Design Project Manager, so she can give you a brief project overview.
Thank you, Matthew. So here we have a visualization of a typical section of what is going to be constructed. As you see before you, you have 4 lanes, two lanes in each direction, 11 foot each. And next to the outside lanes, you have the bike lane that there's a 4-foot bike lane, but then you have the 2-foot buffer between the bike lane and the vehicle travel lane. Then adjacent to the bike lane, you have the swale, which, you know, from accommodating the road widening, the drainage swales will be deepened and to accommodate additional runoff. And next to the swales is the existing sidewalk. Most of the sidewalk that could be reconstructed are more at the signalized intersections, as that sidewalk is much closer to the road. Next slide, please. And I think my slide again. So the next series of slides will be a visual of the project limits of the project. So we start with Southgate Boulevard that you saw in the previous project and continue north. And this is like the first part of this of the first project. And we pass Atlantic Boulevard, and then we pass here Lakeview Drive, and we continue north to Royal Palm Boulevard, which is like the middle of the 2 projects. And then we continue from north of Royal Palm Boulevard, past Sample Road, and continue north, approaching Wiles Road, and then finally ending at Wyndham Circle. So this visualization of the project limits represents the 2 projects that will be constructed under the same contract at the same time. I'd like to turn over attention back to Matt to discuss traffic impacts.
Okay, thank you, Damaris. So on slide 25, we can review some traffic impacts that you may encounter. So lane closures can occur at any time on Coral Ridge Drive, except between 4 p.m. and 6 p.m. Sunday through Saturday. Lane closures may occur at signalized intersections at night from 10:30 to 7 a.m. Sunday through Saturday. So you won't have any lane closures through signalized intersections during the day. Lane closures will not be permitted in school zones during school zone hours. These school zone hours are 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. Monday through Friday on school days. And in addition, it should be noted that access to emergency services, businesses, and all residents will be maintained at all times. Slide 26, I'll hand it back to Justina, and she can review some of the community outreach points.
Slide 27, community outreach during our construction project will be ongoing. We will be distributing any project flyers via email blast or door-to-door as needed. Traffic impacts will be included in the district communication manager's weekly traffic impact press release. And the project team will meet with any city, county officials, community groups, and property owners regarding project updates as needed. All project updates will be posted to the District 4 website. And as you can see on the screen, there's a QR code that you can scan to get to that website, or you can go via the address that is provided. And then we also have a QR code that you can scan if you would like to sign up for project updates. Slide 28. Now we're going to go into our question and answer period. Again, you can use your chat box to submit any questions. You're welcome to submit your questions and comments using the GoToWebinar question panel. And as you can see on the screen, the panel is what you see there. And if you would like to actually speak, you can raise your hand and the team will acknowledge you so that you will be able to ask your question. Just going to wait for one moment to allow everyone to get themselves together to be able to ask questions. Okay, so
I'm
team,
starting to see a couple come through.
yes, so team, we do have a question from Jennifer Laxner. The question is, will the green bike lanes be continuous along Coral Ridge Drive? Matt, did you want to go ahead and answer for us?
Yeah, I think I can take that one. That's a pretty easy one. I think the mayors can confirm that the bike lanes will definitely be continuous along Coral Ridge Drive. And I think the mayors, part of the reason this project is doing the continuous bike lanes is to actually link some bike lanes that are south of the project to some bike lanes that are north of the project.
Yeah, so I want to go back to the remark about the green portion. It's in our standards, we customarily provide the green pavement marking at conflict locations, so that will be adjacent to right turn lanes. But then throughout the entire corridor, it won't be green, just at those specific locations. But yeah, I believe Adam, you've provided some information before about the connectivity of the bike lanes. Would you like to add to that?
Yeah, sure. This project, which is an MPO funded project, is primarily to provide, like with what Matt said earlier, pedestrian and bicyclist connectivity from the south to the north. So I know that we have another panelist on the line here representing the MPO. So maybe it's good to introduce him, and he can sort of give the justification of the bike lanes, you know, coming right from the source of who's requesting it, you know, being the MPO. So Fazil, if you want to maybe introduce.
If you want to just say your name and your position and let everybody know.
Sure. My name is Fazil Qureshi. I am representing the Broward Metropolitan Planning Organization, and I'm the mobility project manager from our end on this project, since this project is funded using federal dollars. So for this project was actually identified in our 2035 long range transportation plan, which came out in like 2010, 2011, and through other various studies that were conducted afterwards, this corridor was identified as a high priority corridor to provide this connectivity. Yes, there are bike lanes north and south of this project, and a big thing that we want to provide was a continuous, safe, comfortable facility that's continuous throughout this corridor to provide, you know, residents and other users of the road in that area to be able to go to different destinations to go to schools, shopping plazas, and the things of that nature. But yes, this was identified in a plan with Broward County and also with the city of Coral Springs.
All right, I just wanted to acknowledge at this time that we do have 2 attendees with their hand raised, but I'm going to go ahead and read 2 of our questions that we have for us to answer that, and then we'll move on to acknowledge one of the attendees right now with their hands up, because we have several other questions that are in the queue. The next question that we have is from Mr. Ryan Gates. Did you consider making the vehicle travel lane 10 feet rather than 11 feet. And I'll go ahead and let someone from our design team or you, Foz, from the MPO to go ahead and elaborate on that for us.
Damaris, I can elaborate a little bit, and then you and the design team can correct me if I'm wrong. But from my understanding, this corridor doesn't meet the 10-foot requirement that Broward County would allow us to reduce the lane width to 10 feet. If I'm not mistaken, the lane width on this project is 11 feet, correct, Adam?
Yes.
So Broward County wouldn't allow us to reduce it any more unless it was under, if I'm not mistaken, 35 miles an hour, which I believe this corridor is 45 or 40, correct?
Yes, both. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. So we just wouldn't be able to do it according to their standards, since they are the maintaining agency and this is their facility. We are obligated to comply with their criteria.
So the two projects, one is the northern one from Royal Palm to Wyndham, and this other one is from Southgate to Royal Palm. We could allow Adam worked on the northern part, and then after Adam, maybe Anthony, who worked on the southern part, can comment on the lane width. Adam?
Well, again, like what Fossil said, based upon Broward County requirements, minimum lane width is 11 feet. And that goes for both the north and the south segments of the corridor. So we've repurposed the lanes to be able to share the roadway with the bike lanes. And those bike lanes are buffered to provide a safety enhancement between the bicyclists and the vehicular traffic. And
That's correct.
Anthony would have the same insight. Mm-hmm.
So yes, appropriate to the design speed.
Okay, so we have another question from Mr. Gates. His question is, did you consider making the vehicle travel? I'm sorry, it's the same question, I apologize. Will there be an inspection of visibility near the intersections and driveways, both for drivers, bicyclists, and pedestrians? And I guess that's another question that would be for design and MPO.
Can you repeat that?
Sure. Will there be inspection of visibility near intersections and driveways? I apologize. Okay. Will there be inspection of visibility near intersections and driveways, both for drivers, bicyclists, and pedestrians?
I'm not sure. Maybe we can get some clarification on inspection.
If I were to interpret the question, I believe maybe a consideration for sight distance. Since we're not adding any trees or landscape is not being added to the project, there isn't anything that we anticipate will obscure the sight distance from a side street or the north and south approaches. Do you have any, Adam, is there any considerations for sight distance at the intersections you guys had?
I mean, during the course of our design, we assess all of the intersections and all the quadrants with respect to providing proper sight distance. If there is an issue, we address it during design. So, I mean, we're not aware of any issues, nor is our proposed improvements creating a less safe environment for vehicles and pedestrians and overall sight distance. So, I mean, maybe we can, I'm not sure if we're answering the question properly, but I mean, so like you said, sight distance is not an issue on this project. As far as us creating any issues, if, like I said, if there are any issues, we've addressed them and we've improved them, and those improvements will manifest themselves in the course of the construction.
Thank you. So at this time, again, we do have additional questions that are still in the queue, but I'd like to acknowledge Mr. Alex Perez. Mr. May, if you wanted to go ahead and acknowledge him, he has his hand raised at this time.
Okay, Justina, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, very good. And you want to acknowledge Alex Perez.
Yes, sir.
Hello, Alex. I think you should be able to go ahead. I think you're self-muted is what it's telling me.
Okay, so Mr. Perez, if you can hear us, we will come back to you. It appears that there's
That's a
an
good
issue
idea.
on your side with being unmuted. So I'd like to then have you acknowledge Mr. Jackson Hurst. Matt, he also has his hand up.
Okay. Mr. Jackson. Okay, Jackson Hurst. You should be able to go ahead, sir.
Hi, I have two questions. The first is for the slide where you show where you can find project updates and sign up for those updates. Could you submit, actually no, not submit, could you copy and paste those links in the Q&A box for people to get to? And also, the second question that I have is, I was wondering if I could be signed up for project updates and construction updates regarding the Coral Ridge Drive Mobility Improvements Project. If you need me to, I can submit my email address in the Q&A box for that.
That would be best, sir, and we will go ahead and add you to our stakeholder list and make sure that whatever updates that we have for the project, that you are on that list.
Well, that'll be okay. Will that be okay, Mr. Hurst?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, and
Christina.
yes, if we can try to go back to Mr. Perez and see if we can assist him. If not, we'll still go back to the questions that we have in the box and go back to Alex Perez if we can.
I'm not sure if Alex, let's see. Mr. Perez. No, Justine, I don't believe that's going to work right now. Oh. Mr. Perez, it appears you're self-muted. All right, Justina, maybe we can...
We do have other questions in the queue. Again, we will come back and acknowledge Alex Perez to see if you'll be able to get yourself off mute. But at this time, the next question that we have is from Mike Jellin. And the question is, will the project be finished in phases, for example, from Southgate to Atlantic?
This is a really good one for Miguel. Miguel, maybe you can comment to that?
Yes, I can. The project itself, we are expecting it to be completed as one, even though there's two sections of the job. The contractor will start most likely on the south end of the job and progressing north. As of right now, the plan is to start on the northbound side. And we expect the job, like I said, to be completed as one. So that will mean that you will see construction not actively on both, on the entire road the whole time, but you will see it progress going from one end to the other. And it depends on the contractor's productivity basically at that point. But yeah, we should expect it to be completed just as one.
Thank you, Miguel. So we have another question from Ryan Gates. The question is, what is the reasoning behind only having the, I'm assuming you're referring to the bike lanes, it says the lanes, but the bike lanes green at the potential conflict points?
I think, Justina, that's another good one for design. I know that they have standards that they follow, so maybe you can answer that, Damaris.
Sure. It's a way to alert the drivers to be cognizant that there are bicyclists, and so we call that a point of conflict because this is where the vehicle can overlap the bike lane to get to the right turn lane, and so it's something to catch the eye for drivers to be aware of. But we don't put it everywhere, otherwise the drivers would be so accustomed to it that it wouldn't be unique to catch their eye. But that's the purpose of having it in those adjacent to right turn lanes.
That's a good reason, Damaris. Also, another reason we don't put it everywhere is because it's very costly, and it would be cost prohibitive from a maintenance standpoint. So yes. Stina.
Yes, our next question is from Chris Sunnison, and it's a two-part question. Were there any studies performed on the side streets feeding onto Coral Ridge Drive? For example, at Riverside Drive, it seems that a dedicated eastbound right turn is needed.
I think that's another good one for design. Anybody want to tackle that one?
I can take care
Adam
of it.
raised his hand.
Sure. Yeah, like we were mentioning, this is a county road, and it's an off-system mobility mobility improvement project. So short answer is there were no studies, no traffic studies done. Again, the intent of the project, specifically due to budgetary constraints, was to add bike lanes. There was really nothing done on a preliminary basis with respect to vehicular traffic in terms of capacity or traffic volumes or traffic flows for this particular project.
Also, there's just something else that I want to add is that generally speaking, for our federal funds, our projects don't generally include extra right turn lanes or extra left turn lanes on any of the side streets unless the city or the county bring it up early enough in design where we're able to go into an agreement with them in order for that agency to pay for the design and pay for the construction of those extra improvements that are not covered underneath our federal funds.
Right. So all of the improvements that you'll see being constructed are improvements that have to do directly with the bike lanes or something that was physically affected or impacted by needing to add those bike lanes onto the corridor.
Thank you.
However, we if I could add one more thing, you know, with meetings like this and our initial public meeting during the design phase, we received similar type of feedback, and we are more than happy to forward those concerns and requests to the county, and their traffic design and traffic engineering department can assess the need for it, and they could plan it in their own budget for future road improvements.
Thank you. So we have another question in from Aldo Sosa. And the question is, how will these changes help slow down the cars speeding on Coral Ridge and help with distracted drivers that has become dangerous to cyclists in our area?
Would anybody like to take that one?
I can start.
Go for it.
Well, basically by providing the separate buffered bike lanes, you're providing a different type of perspective to the vehicular users of the corridor. You're physically separating the bicyclists, or you're giving the bicyclists the ability to be separated from the vehicular traffic. The buffer and the green bike lanes that we talked about provide visualization cues to the vehicular users of the corridor. So it's It may not be a perfect scenario, but it's a better scenario than what is out there right now, because we're getting the vehicular traffic and the bicyclists separated from one another, more aware of each other because each have a dedicated location on the roadway. So that's the intent of having the buffered bike lanes. That's my start of the answer. If anyone else has anything else to add.
The only
I
thing
think
that I
that's
would
pretty
add,
good.
because of the repurposing of the lane, the 11-foot width will yield to a little bit of a slower, encouraging a slower speed than what it is today.
Correct. And that's a nationally recognized practice in order to have some form of traffic calming is just by reducing the lane widths where a car feels a little bit more constrained, where they don't feel as free to drive faster. There are obviously other, better solutions out there. However, from what we have seen, from the MPO side, sometimes it just comes down to the maintenance of the improvements, because we're here to implement the improvements, but ultimately it goes back to the county to maintain afterwards. However, with the new surtax funding and in the influx of tax funding that has gone to the county, there's always an opportunity for residents to speak up that they want more out there. Definitely this buffer will provide an area if Broward County wants to go out there in the future to provide delineators or things of that nature, but that would be a completely separate project, and the county could the county can do whatever they want. It is their facility, but we're not able to implement any of those improvements as part of this project.
Okay, thank you all. We have a few more questions now from our attendees with their hand raised. I'd like to first draw your attention, Matt, to Alex Perez to see if we can now hear Alex Perez, and then we also have two other people if you wanted to go ahead and attempt that.
Okay, I can try that. Let's see, Mr. Perez. We've got all these attendees here. I'm showing now that his audio is off. Not sure that's going to work right now, Justina.
Okay,
Maybe,
so
maybe he can try and type something.
Oh, hold on. Yeah, no.
I
see he has been.
A message that I have called in by phone to be able to talk. So maybe he has
another. Yeah, I'm not showing. I'm just not showing him in the queue. I see him once, but it just says audio off. So apparently it doesn't come up with his phone. So Justina, maybe we can give him a little more time on that.
Well, so Alex, if you can hear us, if you would like to just go ahead and type your question into the chat, I will search for you and acknowledge your question after we finish these other two with the hands raised. If you want to go ahead and post your question to us in the chat box, we'll acknowledge it from there, because at this time, we are unable to help you with the audio. It appears that you are muted on your side, even though we're unmuting you. So Matt, we have Julianne Moto.
Okay, let me see. I have to find, oh yes, okay. Miss Moto, I think you can, oh, it's showing me you're self-muted. Miss Moto.
Yes, hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, hi. My house backs up to Coral Ridge. I live between Royal Palm and 26th Street. I've been in touch with, and I know this project has to deal with the expanding the lanes and putting in bicycle lanes, but I have a big issue with the speeding along Coral Ridge. And it's hit me directly. A car, and this is the second time I've witnessed, well, I'm personally hit this time, but I witnessed it one other time, my neighbor 2 doors down. Car drove up the road and knocked my fence down, nearly drove into my pool. Luckily, there was just a tree stopping her. There is a lot of speeding along Coral Ridge. I hear it all the time, all hours. I was a little surprised when I saw about this project. I thought it was about more than bicycle lanes, because there really should be some kind of signalization put, or traffic light or stop sign between where I live, on Coral Ridge, between Sample and Royal Palm. And now with these bicycle lanes, it's even, I don't know. I've been already in touch with the project manager about it, not directly, but through someone named, I forget her name, and was told that there's not enough evidence or, history of accidents that occurred where it would deem to put another traffic sign, light, or I asked for guardrails originally to protect the homes, but I was turned down.
I think you were in communication with me, but from what I recall, I forwarded your concerns to the county, if I'm not mistaken. I'm Damaris Williams. I think what's your name again?
Julia Mato.
Yeah, I think we communicated, and one of the things that we explained, that adding a bike lane will encourage people to slow down, especially with the repurposing of the lane. So we hope that this will encourage slowing down the vehicles. But I think in addition to, you shared your story about the errant vehicle, punching through the fence and ending up on your backyard, if I recall correctly, right? And but then I think you had a question regarding the a side street having a signalization put on where today there isn't. And so I forwarded that to the county who owns the road to look into that further. And so I copied you on that email. So, you're more than welcome. If you still have that email, I could send it. If you don't have that email, I could send it to you again, and you could follow up with the county individual.
I don't recall getting the email, but and who am I speaking with? I don't.
You know what? That I apologize. I might be mixing you up with another individual that contacted me because I'm the design project manager. They told me a circumstance where an errant vehicle ended up on their backyard pretty much and into their home. It was like in the middle of the night or something like that. But I apologize for mistaken identity here.
No, I mean, it's similar story, but mine didn't occur at midnight. It occurred at night when it was dark.
Mm-hmm.
Brings me to what I was going to say about the stance that the bike lanes are going to control traffic better and people are going to be more aware. People are not going to ride their bikes late at night. And this happened at 7 o'clock in the evening on a Sunday. And, it can happen at any given time. And especially in the middle of the night, people are speeding up and down this road, doing God knows what, maybe 90 miles an hour. It sounds like 100 miles an hour. I don't know what's the best way to fix it, but I just know that the homes, I wanted guardrails, but that I was turned down for that. I think guardrails will protect the homes along Coral Ridge. I don't think a traffic light may work because some people might just go past that light. But hey, the traffic light can work, or a stop sign or something to control traffic or reduce the speed on the road. I don't know, but I was told that there weren't enough accidents that occurred. There were only 3 in 10 years. That's no way the case. I don't know if they meant like accidents where people drove onto people's property, because that may be only minimum like at 3, but I know for a fact there's accidents all along Coral Ridge, right behind my property. I hear it all the time. I see the sirens and the situations all the time.
Right.
The best thing you can do as a concerned resident or just a resident in general is speaking with your local commissioners, and then also speaking with the Broward commissioner for that district. That's the best way to sometimes try to get some of these improvements installed in a future project, and then that will also allow them to garner some support when a project does go before their commission for these type of improvements. That's the best way to get any other types of changes included along this corridor. That's what I would recommend from the Broward MPO side.
All right, well, I didn't know
And
that
then if I
because
can just,
project management. I had a middle person that was going to project management, which is one of you at Broward County. So that's why I want to get on this webinar. So
if I can just add, you have a local law enforcement out there who, the roadways under the jurisdiction. I don't know if it's Coral Springs PD or if it's the Broward County Sheriff's Office, but
it's Broward
okay,
County.
so Broward County. So definitely, when these kind of instances come up, I know that the most immediate thing that you can do is to contact the Broward County Sheriff's Office and notify them. They're the officials that regulate the speed out there, and as a citizen, you should express your concern to them. And along with Fazal's ideas, I think that at this time, that's about what you can do.
Okay. All right, I'll try that route then.
Thank you, Julie.
Thank you.
Great, so Matt, we have another question from Mr. Roberto Cutts.
Is that a hand up?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's see. What was Roberto?
Yes.
Roberto Cruz.
Cutts is the last
Okay.
name.
I'm also.
Hello?
Yeah. Oh, Cutts. Yeah. There you go. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you for hearing me. My question is, my house backs face the Coral Ridge Drive, and there's a small elevation, maybe you can call it a hill, just between, just north of Atlantic Boulevard and 11th Court. I'd like to know if this elevation will remain or if it will be affected in any way.
We're talking about the elevation behind the sidewalk.
Right, yes.
All right, so Anthony, you want to quickly answer that?
Was 11th Atlantic Ave and 11th Court?
It's north of Atlantic and up to 11th Court on the east side of Coral Ridge.
Can you, while Anthony's looking at that, can you move the slide to the aerial that Damaris talked about that shows that area? I just don't know which slide number it is.
Well, I think the short answer is if it's behind the sidewalk.
Now, yes, the sidewalk, actually the sidewalk as it approaches 11th Court is outside the right of way. We are not allowed to go outside the right of way, so those conditions wouldn't change.
Right. So
the answer, Mr. Cutts, would be that if it's behind the sidewalk, it would be outside the right of way, and we can confirm for you, but we're not allowed to touch any of that. That would be private property.
Correct.
So I think the answer right now is no, but we can confirm that for you.
Okay, I would really appreciate it because that's a very nice protection to our house and all the houses in that.
I agree with Matt, with what Matt's, if it's behind the sidewalk, we're not touching it.
Yeah, the sidewalk, the back of the sidewalk is right against the right of way, so anything behind that is untouchable.
Okay, thank you for the answer, appreciate it.
Okay, and Mr.
Thank
Cutts,
you,
if you just type into our question box if you want to provide us with your email address so that the team can follow up with you in writing.
Absolutely, my email is my first name, Roberto, my last name, Cutts, @gmail.com.
I'm sorry, if you can type it into our question panel, that way we'll have it to be able to follow up with you.
Of course.
Thank you so much.
Justina, I'm showing that we may be able to talk to Mr. Perez.
Okay. It looks like,
This is Alex Perez. Can you all hear me?
yes.
Yes, sir.
Very good. Thank you for your indulgence. I was having microphone issues and I was not able to solve them, so I called in with the access code.
All right.
I hope you're all doing well tonight. I just wanted to let you know that there is a private project on the west side of the corridor, more towards the north end, just south of Wiles Road. Adam, you coordinated with Suntech on this several months ago. The engineer is Suntech Engineering, and Mike Gay was able to coordinate with you. Basically, they're introducing a new driveway connection and doing some modifications. There was some back and forth between the Adam, your office, and the DOT design office. The bottom line is that they came to agreement as to what could be designed. Now the issue is timing. I was led to believe from Suntech that the contract was going to be in and out of there before your project started. I drove the corridor yesterday and I do not see any activity on their side. So I'm presuming that they may be waiting for the DOT project to go through and then they'll connect. So, Adam, do you have any more information on this?
Yeah, well, Alex, that's a good observation because we've since further coordinated with Suntech, not just from the design perspective, but we've already engaged, on the construction side. So we were told as well that, the intent was for that project to be built and then out of the corridor actually by December, and that never happened. So yes, we are aware of that. And the department, FDOT, is coordinating with Suntech and with Broward County and with the city to figure out the best way to introduce those improvements into the project. But there is a timing issue involved, and
Right.
That's something that's going to have to be worked out during construction because Mike was aware of when our project was going to commence, construction was going to commence, and they're sort of obligated to not be in the corridor working when FDOT is planning on starting very soon. So the intent is for that work, originally that work was going to be shown as an existing condition to us, and that can't be the case right now. So scheduling, we're going to have to work that out. I know we have internally a pre-construction meeting coming up, and I'm sure that that's going to be one item on the agenda of conversation.
Very good. So, Adam and Matt, what I'll do is I will contact Suntech tomorrow morning and let them know that they had this public hearing, and I'll try to get more information I'll question them as to why they're not yet done with their construction, because Adam, I agree, they had told us that they would be done prior to the FDOT contract being NTP'd. So I'll whatever information I have, I'll pass it on to you gentlemen, and we'll see. And I'll ask them to take part in the pre-construction meeting whenever that occurs.
Yeah, Miguel and Matt, you may want to make sure. I know there was an invite list sent out.
If I can just add to that, Alex, I think a full update on this matter is a little beyond the scope of this meeting. Miguel and I, we've been in contact with Suntech ourselves. We're doing our best to work through this problem, but this coordination won't wait until the pre-construction. I mean, we're already ahead of this, so we are working on this.
Okay, very good.
And I don't know if Miguel has anything to add, but I think we can converse.
Yeah, we can talk about it at another point with Alex, but I have been in contact with Mike Gay, and we've talked about it, and I believe the issue was a permitting problem with Broward County. They were not able to get the permits on time. That's why they couldn't start construction on time, and we've come up with some ideas and discussions, but yeah, one of the reasons. So we can talk about it more regarding that specifically, but yeah, we've been in contact with them trying to come up with a solution.
All right, very good. Thank you.
Thanks, Alex. We'll be in touch with you.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, at this time, we do have we have another question. Mr. Jellin has left, but I do want to go ahead and provide the question to you guys so that we can at least type an answer and hopefully get in contact with Mr. Jellin after the meeting. The question is, will the green highlighted strip of paint be in the bike line in the bike lane along with reflectors?
I'm sorry, I'm not seeing that question. Damaris, did you catch that one? Can you answer that one?
Would you like for me to repeat the question?
Yeah, you could repeat the question, please.
Okay, will the green highlighted strip of paint be in the bike lane along with reflectors? Basically, they're asking if the green paint is going to have reflectivity.
I think the green paint does have some. Does it have any reflectivity, Damaris? The thermoplastic
I'm
striping
trying
on
to-
either side of
Can you guys hear me?
Okay, go ahead. Yes.
We could reference the signing and payment marking plans. Do you have that available, Adam?
If you can just zoom in,
Anthony?
you have it on the screen, the picture on the screen, but I mean, it's really, if the person that asked the question isn't on here anymore, I don't know how much that's gonna, I mean, you could, can you zoom into that bright green area, one of those bright green areas on the image?
I think even more important than the green area,
It's limited.
the lines that delineate the bicycle lane, the thermoplastic, the white striping has retroreflectivity, and that's going to be the continuous retroreflectivity that delineates the bike lane, because again, the green's only going to be in limited areas.
Right,
but
and they might be also referring, Matt, if there is a case where we do have RPMs, depending on location, approaching the intersection, the edges of the bike lane do have RPMs. Usually that's a standard thing. And then, yeah, the paint should have some reflectivity, minimum reflectivity to meet. So, yeah, in both things assist with that. Okay.
What I'll do
So
is
short
have
answer is
contact
yes.
information for that attendee, and we can follow up in writing because our next meeting starts at 6, and we do have one more question here that I'd like to acknowledge with this person that is still in the meeting. The next question is, there are segments of asphalt sidewalk along the corridor. Will those be replaced with concrete?
Maris?
I
could refer to Adam.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Anthony.
Could you repeat the question for me?
There's segments of sidewalk that are asphalt today. Will they be concrete?
We're not replacing sidewalk because it's asphalt. We're replacing sidewalk because of cracks, maintenance issues, or upgrade to ADA. So it's not just a blanket replacement of asphalt to concrete. It's replacement where needed to be replaced due to condition.
What's interesting is that when this project started, the design team had the area surveyed, and then somewhere in the middle of the design life, we realized that the county actually upgraded some of their sidewalk and reconstructed them. But when on the slide before this aerial view, it shows that along the corridor, the sidewalk is like further away from the road. And so only when it gets to the signalized intersection does it come back to the road, and those, because the widening also to accommodate the bike lane impacts the signalized intersection, the sidewalk would also be moved a bit. So rebuilding the curb ramps and all that, that's where we're touching majority of the times. In addition to what Adam says, if there's a noticeable sidewalk crack or something that is so severe that the county maintenance couldn't address, but better addressed by this, there are tiny segments that are being reconstructed. But yeah, we're not upgrading the entire sidewalk, especially when it's further, away from the road and closer to people's property.
Thank you. So at this time, we're going to go ahead and wrap up our question and answer period. If there's any additional questions or comments for your questions that were not responded to during the event, a response will be provided later. All comments and questions are part of the public record, and all registrants will receive a link to the meeting recording and presentation slides. Slide 31. Slide 31 is our contact information. Here on slide 32, you'll see we have our project manager, Mr. Matthew May. His email address is matthew.may@dot.state.fl.us. His telephone number is 954-649-3220. We have Mr. Miguel Olivares, and his email address is m olivares@k-factorinc.com. His telephone number is 786-547-7828. And myself, Justina Hicklin, email address to reach me at is justina@valerian-group.com. And the phone number is 954-950-7580. This PowerPoint presentation has been uploaded to the GoToWebinar for download.
Justina, you said the last 2 digits of that phone number is, it ends with a 0. I just wanted to double check that number. 954-940-7585.
7585, I apologize. So that was 954-940-7585. Thank you, Damaris.
No problem.
Okay. All right, so at this time, I'd like to thank you all for attending today's virtual public meeting on the Coral Ridge Drive Mobility Improvement Project. Have a good night. Okay. We do have a presentation that we can go through again for any of you who are still remaining on the line. This had appeared previous to the question and answer period that we just ended. And so we can take you through this and give you a little more information about the project. Hello, good evening. Welcome to the Coral Ridge Drive Mobility Improvement Project public meeting. For those of you joining us, my name is Matthew May. I am the construction project manager. The limits of this project along Coral Ridge Drive are from Southgate Boulevard to Wyndham Circle. The primary reason for this project is to add bike lanes along this approximately 5-mile corridor. The financial project IDs for these 2 projects that will be constructed as one are 437796-1 and 437798-1. Again, you're at the virtual public meeting for the Coral Ridge Drive Mobility Improvement Project, and it is March 10th of 2021. On slide number 2, I can go over an agenda for this short presentation we have. Number 1, I'll be going through some introductions. Number 2, we will go through a meeting format. Number 3, we will discuss the non-discrimination policy. We will then go through the rules of engagement. Then we will review some project limits and project improvements. Number 6, we will do a project overview. Number 7, we will review some traffic impacts that you may encounter while this project is ongoing. Number 8, we will review the community outreach information. Number 9, we will have some question and answers. And number 10, we will provide some contact information for the team. So now, on slide 4, I will provide some introductions to the team. So again, the FDOT has been tasked to design and construct the Coral Ridge Drive Mobility Improvement Project, and the project team consists of myself. I am the FDOT, the Florida Department of Transportation Construction Project Manager. Miguel Olivares is the project administrator. He's with K-Factor. Justina Hicklin is our community outreach specialist. She's with the Valerian Group. Damaris Williams, she is also with the FDOT, and she is the design project manager. Working along with her, we have Adam Mays, who is an engineer of record, a designer with DRMP Incorporated. And also we have Anthony Spameni. He is also an engineer of record, a designer with Bolton Perez and Associates. And some of the other partners in this project include Broward County, the City of Coral Springs, and the Broward County Metropolitan Planning Organization. So now for slide 5, I'm going to hand it over to Justina.
Thank you, Matt. As Matt stated, my name is Justina Hicklin. I'll be the Community Outreach Specialist for the Coral Ridge Drive Mobility Improvement Project, and I'll also be one of tonight's moderators for the meeting. Before we start the presentation, I am going to go over our meeting format. That's slide 5. So slide 6, as you can see, we will have presentation and question and answer from 5 p.m. to 5:30, 6 p.m. to 6:30, and then an intermission on an unguided slideshow from 5:30 to 6 p.m. And then I'd also like to share a few things regarding our meeting. Due to the state of emergency declared by Governor Ron DeSantis, an executive order 20-52, as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, this meeting is authorized to be held virtually and not in person. On slide 7, we are using the GoToWebinar meeting platform for this meeting. There is no cost to the public to log in or dial in to participate in the meeting. On your computer or device, you should see something that looks similar to what is in the upper right-hand corner. To listen to the meeting, your computer or device speakers are selected by default. If you prefer to listen by phone, select telephone and audio pane of the control panel and dial in using the information which is displayed. So for this meeting, we have distributed a public meeting notice by U.S. Postal Mail, social media, the FDOT website, and also the Florida Administrative Registrar. And at this time, we're going to go over our Title VI information. At this point, the FDOT non-discrimination policy. The Florida Department of Transportation complies with various non-discrimination laws and regulations, including Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Public participation is solicited without regard to race, color, national origin, age, sex, religion, disability, or family status. For your concerns or contact information, you may contact either the District 4 Title VI Coordinator, Ms. Sharon Sang-Hyen. Her address is 3400 West Commercial Boulevard, Fort Lauderdale, Florida 33309. Phone number to reach her at is 954-777-4190. Her email address is sharon.sanghyen@dot.state.fl.us. The Tallahassee office State Title VI Coordinator is Jacqueline Paramore. Her address is 605 Swaney Street, MS 65, Tallahassee, Florida 32399. And her phone number is 850-414-4753. And her email address is jacqueline.paramore@dot.state.fl.us. Now, slide 11, the rules of engagement.
Justina, I lost your audio there. You're self-muted.
I apologize. Slide 12, the rules of engagement. This virtual public meeting is being recorded. If you experience technical difficulties, please contact GoToWebinar support at 1-833-851-8340. All attendees will remain muted throughout the meeting. Attendees are also welcome to submit any questions or comments using the GoToWebinar question panel at any time, and a member of the team will respond during the question and answer portion. To request to speak, click the raise hand button on the control panel and unmute your microphone when your name is called. And at this time, I'll go ahead and pass it back to our project manager, Mr. Matthew May.
Thank you very much, Justina. So now we're going to review some project location and project information. So on slide 14, you can see an overview map of the project limits, which of course are Coral Ridge Drive from Southgate Boulevard on the right side of the map, And as you follow that north, it goes all the way up to Wyndham Circle. The distance between these limits is just under 5 miles. And on slide 15, we can review some schedule and cost information. As you can see, construction begins on April 15th of this year. Anticipated completion is late 2022, and the construction cost is approximately $7.6 million. Now, on slide 16, we can review some of the project improvements, or most of the project improvements, actually. As I said previously, the primary goal of this project is to widen the roadway to accommodate 6-foot buffered bike lanes. A 6-foot buffered bike lane will effectively provide a continuous 4-foot bike lane with a 2-foot buffer between it and the bordering outside vehicular traffic lane. Now, the other improvements we need to accommodate these 6-foot buffered bike lanes would be reconstructing sidewalk ramps, primarily at intersections, upgrading vehicle and pedestrian signalization at West Atlantic Boulevard, Royal Palm Boulevard, and Wiles Road. We will be upgrading pedestrian signalization at Riverside and also at Eagle Trace Boulevard, which is also Northwest 19th Drive. We will be modifying and relocating numerous drainage structures. We will be milling and resurfacing the entire length of the project limits. That is, again, from Southgate all the way to Wyndham Drive. And again, the pavement markings will be replaced, and the signing will be updated to include some bicycle lane signage. We will be regrading swale areas to improve the drainage and the runoff that will be coming from the widening of the road. And we will also be repairing bridge deck joints on the bridge on the south end of the project that goes over the C14 canal. And now on slide 17, I will hand it off to Damaris Williams, who is the FDOT Design Project Manager, so she can give a brief project overview. Damaris, you appear to be muted.
Thanks,
There you
Matt.
go.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Yes, this is a visualization of the typical section of what you'll see in the road. We have 4 lanes, 2 lanes in each direction. Each lane is 11 foot wide. Then you have a 6-foot buffer bike lane. So you have the actual bike lane width is 4 feet, but then you have the 2-foot separator between the vehicle lane and the bicycle lane. And then adjacent to the bike lane is drainage swales. Because we had to do some widening, the swales will be regraded a little, will be deepened a little bit more, provide additional capacity. And then adjacent to that, you could see that the existing sidewalk, the sidewalk furthest to the road along the whole corridor will remain untouched, but we'll get some attention when the sidewalk approaches the road itself, especially at signalized intersections. And Matt had described the improvements. So here we have a visualization of the start of the project, Southgate Boulevard on the southern end. And the next slides will show the progression north. And we pass here Atlantic Boulevard and continue through Lakeview Drive. And here we continue through Royal Palm Boulevard, which is pretty much the middle point of the 2 projects, treated as one. And we continue north, this aerial view, we pass Sample Road. We pass Wiles Road. And we reach the end, Wyndham Circle. I'll transfer back to Matt to talk about traffic impacts.
Okay, thank you, Damaris. So here on slide 25, we will review the traffic impacts that you may encounter during this construction project. So lane closures can occur anytime except between 4 p.m. and 6 p.m. Sunday through Saturday. Lane closures may occur at signalized intersections only at nighttime, which would be from 10:30 p.m. to 7 a.m. Sunday through Saturday. Now, lane closures will also not be permitted in school zones during school zone hours. These school zone hours are 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. on school days, which are Monday through Friday regularly. And it's also worth noting that access to emergency services, businesses, and all residences will be maintained at all times. On slide 26, I will now hand it back to Justina so she can review some community outreach points.
Thank you, Matt. This is slide 27 for community outreach. I will be distributing project update flyers and email blasts as needed. We will also do door-to-door if that is needed throughout construction. Traffic impacts will be included in the district communication manager's weekly traffic impact press release. Project team will meet with city, county officials, community groups, and property owners regarding project updates as needed. All project updates will be posted to the District 4 website. You can see on your screen that there's a QR code for you to scan for the District 4 website as well as the web address. And then there's also a QR code for you to scan if you would like to sign up for project updates. Now at this time, we are going to go ahead and acknowledge all questions that you have. And I'm going to just give a minute for everyone to get over to that panel. Attendees are welcome to submit their questions and comments using the GoToWebinar question panel. Okay, so first, Matt, we do have an attendee with their hand up. We have Mr. Ryan Gates, if you'd like to go ahead and acknowledge Ryan Gates.
I see that. So I'm going to unmute Mr. Gates. Hello, Mr. Gates.
Hi, thank you everyone for doing this meeting. Really appreciate everyone's time. I did want to clarify one of the questions that I had before about the visibility. And I just wanted to say for the intersections, it's not nearly as problematic, but I know in particular some of the driveways, if you're on the sidewalk, whether you're riding a bike or you're walking or some other mode, there's instances where cars basically have to pull up over the sidewalk to see if there's traffic coming to be able to pull out. And obviously, as we're trying to add more bikes and get more people walking, that can be an issue. So that's kind of what I was wondering about in that question. If there's going to be anything to assist with that.
Yeah, I actually thought about that while we were talking just before, but because we're repurposing the lanes, we're basically shifting the outermost lane line 2 feet toward the median. So basically what's going to happen is somebody coming from an adjacent property, it's technically pushing the vehicles further out into the line of sight. So by doing what we're doing, even with giving an extra 2 feet to the lane line that's adjacent to the buffer, you're providing a better line of sight, an improved line of sight to a vehicle that's wanting to come onto Coral Ridge Drive. So we are improving it. It may not be much, but it is definitely an improvement in sight distance.
And expand on what Adam is saying, having the buffered bike lane provides a clear sight, an additional width that you can see. It pushes the edge of pavement, further away from the traffic.
Right. So there's only so much that we can do given the existing condition, and this is a reasonable improvement. That just is, a result of the repurposing of the lanes.
That's good to hear. And one other question I had was the lane width is going to be 11 feet. Does anyone know what it is currently?
It's 12.
It's 12. Okay.
Yeah, we're repurposing 2 feet from the vehicular lane, and that will be used in the buffer. And then we are widening to get an additional 4 feet to accommodate the bike lane, typically speaking.
Mm-hmm. And if I may add, Mr. Gates, I know you had some concern about, safety and drivers slowing down. I don't know who it was. Was it Adam or Miguel? Somebody had said something, and maybe you can tell them a little bit more about the traffic calming effects of reducing a lane from 12 to 11 feet.
I think that may have been Fazil, but I can answer if necessary. Yeah, basically by narrowing, in general, by narrowing a lane, you're heightening the awareness of the drivers using the lane. So narrowing a lane actually provides a traffic calming effect to the vehicles utilizing the roadway. So the motorists will naturally tend to slow down because in a way you're putting them more on alert. And heightening their sense of awareness because the lanes are a little bit, narrower. So that is one way of enforcing traffic, not enforcing, but creating a traffic calming effect on a corridor, is by narrowing lanes ever so slightly.
That's really good to hear from my end, and I appreciate that because I know, particularly with COVID, the enforcement aspect has been challenging. A lot of it, there just literally hasn't been any, and I can't blame the officers either because there's a lot of risk associated with that. Getting that close to someone over $100 ticket, so I get it. But that's why I'm also very interested in design of the roads. And also, Julie, maybe we can connect offline and work with the county and see if we can have other things done in addition to this particular project. Thank you.
Yeah, I think we lost Julie, but we appreciate it, Ryan. Thanks for attending. So Justina, you're self-muted.
I believe Justina is offline, Matt. She will need you to moderate.
Oh, no. Okay.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm back. I do apologize. I'm back, Matt. I apologize.
She's back. Okay.
And were we finished wrapping up with Mr. Gates' question?
Oh, yes, we did.
Okay.
You're back just in time.
So now we have another question from Jennifer Laxner. The question is, will you be working every day of the week?
Miguel, did you catch that one, Miguel?
Yes, I did. No,
okay.
Specifically speaking, the project, there are restrictions that went to the closed lanes. Initially, we expect the contractor to be doing most of the work during the daytime. There will be times where the contractor might be working day and night on different types of operations, but we do not expect it to be a continuous operation at this point.
Oh, currently right now, it's expected that they'll only be working from Monday to Friday, correct?
That's a good expectation.
Yes.
Sometimes Saturday, and anything outside of that, we'll obviously there's some ordinances and other restrictions that we need to overcome before that. And if it does come to that, we'll try and notify the public beforehand. Thanks, Miguel.
Thank you. We have another question from Ms. Laxner. When does construction start, and will it impact my school pickup runs?
Construction begins April 15th, just over a month from now. And beside the traffic impacts that we reviewed previously, really, only a lane closure should have any impact on a school run. But again, during those school hours, when the flashing lights are engaged in the morning and the afternoon, lane closures will not be allowed. So that really should alleviate any impacts that you might see. So generally I would say no, but it's always, there's always a possibility.
Thank you, Matt. So our next question is from Ms. Cynthia McGrail. The question is, will I be able to use the sidewalks during construction?
Miguel, you want to talk about the detours for the pedestrians?
Yes, I can speak to that. During construction, the sidewalks for the most part will be maintained open. If there are impacts to the sidewalk, we will have pedestrian detours sign detours indicating to the pedestrians where to cross the street and where this access is limited. For the most part, we expect the sidewalks to be open at all times.
Thank you, Miguel. Another question from Ms. McGrail. Will you be blocking driveways or any of the residences on Coral Ridge Drive?
No. As I said during the traffic impact section, emergency services and access to all businesses and residences will be maintained at all times.
Thank you. During past construction, I'm sorry, this is from Ms. Laxner. During past construction, I've always experienced an increase of dust in the area. What will you be doing about that?
Okay. There are restrictions against, prohibiting dust that the contractor is required to follow. And we have a construction engineering and inspection team that are out there at all times with them, who are there to monitor that they are following the standards, and dust control is one of the standards. And my only comment to this is if you do experience any kind of issues with dust, that you would contact either Justina or myself or Miguel, and we can definitely look further into that issue for you.
Thank you, Matt. Now, I'm not sure if the hand went down after you spoke to Mr. Gates or if he has an additional question. So I don't know if you want to go ahead and unmute him to see if he has an additional question or if that was still from the last session.
He's actually self-muted, so, oh, there you go, Mr. Gates.
Yeah, thank you very much. But yeah, everyone answered all my questions. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
So the next question we have is from Cynthia. Will the contractor be storing equipment along Coral Ridge Drive during construction?
Okay, so the contractor most likely will be storing equipment along Coral Ridge Drive, but they will be restricted to a designated staging area. And so you won't be seeing, let's say, abandoned equipment along Coral Ridge Drive, beyond the designated staging area where they are allowed to store that equipment. I think, Miguel, as of yet, we have not determined where that equipment will be, but most likely it will be along Coral Ridge Drive somewhere.
Correct. We have not determined yet. We haven't determined exact location yet, but we will have a staging area along the corridor. Most likely it's going to be one of the green areas along the roadway. It will be an approved area and to minimize impact to the public.
Okay, right now I'm just going to give a little bit of time for some additional questions to come into our chat. While we're waiting for additional questions from our attendees, Foz, do we still have you on the line?
Yeah, I'm still here. That's what you were asking for, right?
Yes, sir. I just wanted to ask you if you wanted to give our attendees just a little bit of background on how the project came about while we're just waiting to see if they have any additional questions at this time.
Sure. I can provide a brief summary of that. So this project is funded through the Metropolitan Planning Organization's federal funds that we receive every year. This project was first identified in the 2035 LRTP, which was released, I believe, in 2010, 2012. In that long-range transportation plan, this corridor was identified as an area that needed this bicycle and pedestrian connectivity, which was identified through a lot of coordination between Broward County and also with the city of Coral Springs. This corridor this corridor will actually connect to a lot of our future complete street master plan projects that we have identified. That for corridors along, Royal Palm Boulevard, Stanford Road, and even Turnpike will eventually continue the bike lanes on the north side. But yeah, that's pretty much the summary about this project. Due to just how projects are programmed, I mean, we would have loved to have this project completed by now, but due to how funding works and the great planning of transportation, it takes a while. So 10 years later, we're here.
Thank you, Fazil. So we have another question in. This is from Ms. Laxner. The question is, who decided that we need bike lanes?
I think that's another one for Foz.
Summarized just now with the project overview.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So as I've spoken about before, this was identified in our 2035 long-range transportation plan. Every 5 years, if I'm not mistaken, we create a transportation planning document where any funds that are used have to be identified in a plan of some sort. So in the 2035 LRTP, that was the first time that we switched to that we switched Broward's vision from doing capacity improvement projects to doing these mobility type improvements. This project was identified with City of Coral Springs and also with Broward County in that plan, with a lot of the other coordination that was conducted, and then with the master plan from those two agencies.
Thank you, Fazil. Now, in our previous meeting, I know we had some questions about the bike lanes. If anyone wanted to just speak up to just give some information about whether or not that lane would be continuous and what it means where it isn't continuous, like the conflict points, if you wanted to just give us a little overview of the bike lanes and on Forward Drive.
Yeah, I misunderstood that question last time. So maybe Damaris, you want to talk about the bike lanes and where they might be green?
Oh, so yeah, the bike lane is continuous, and it's obviously joining from because there's existing bike lanes south of the project limit and north of the project limit, and the green pavement marking in particular will be present at conflict points, which is adjacent to right turn lanes. So this is it's considered a conflict point because traveling vehicles are going to overlap the bike lane onto the right turn lane. So there's an overlap, and there's that potential between cyclists and the vehicles to overlap. But the green pavement marking is we hope that it catches the eye of and alert the driver to be aware. Oh, this is a cyclist can come through. Let me make sure that it's clear. So the reason we don't have it everywhere is because if it was everywhere, then people would get accustomed to the green, and it's not anything out of the ordinary to view it. But yeah, that's definitely a safety enhancement to have that color pavement marking at the right turn lanes.
Thank you, Damaris. At this time, we don't have any more questions in our queue. We don't have any hands raised. So we're going to go ahead and end our question and comment period. So at this time, if your question was not responded to during the event, a response will be provided later. All comments and questions are a part of the public record. All registrants will receive a link to the meeting recording and presentation slides. Contact information for the teams here on slide 31. Now slide 32, we have Mr. Matthew May, who is the construction project manager. His email address is matthew.may@dot.state.fl.us. His phone number is 954-649-3220. We have Mr. Miguel Olivares, who is the project administrator. His email address is molivares@k-factorinc.com. His phone number is 786-547-7828. And last, we have my contact information. Again, my name is Justina Hicklin. I will be the community outreach specialist for this job, and my email address is justina@balerin-group.com, and my phone number is 954-940-7585. This PowerPoint presentation has been uploaded to the GoToWebinar for download.
Right, and so now I'd like to thank everybody for attending today's virtual public meeting on the Coral Ridge Drive Mobility Improvement Project. I'd especially like to thank our panelists, Zal, Miguel, Anthony, Damaris, Adam, and of course, Justina. This was a great success, and I'm glad we were all able to do this, and I hope everybody, attendees and panelists, have a good night.
Night.
Thank you, guys.
See you guys.
Thank you.